Hi everybody, welcome to my video on how to learn to circular breathe. As you can see, it looks really easy, and in fact it is easy, despite all the difficulties I'm sure you've had trying to master it. I've been playing didgeridoos for about 10 years now, and making them as well, and there are some hidden secrets, if that sounds a bit dramatic, to circular breathing that most people will never tell you about. Not for any reason other than the fact that it doesn't occur to them probably to do that, but circular breathing is a bit like when you learn to play the didgeridoo originally, when suddenly it just bursts into life. And you think, oh blimey, that's how you do it. And circular breathing is very much the same sort of experience. But there are a few things that you need to know which will make it so much easier. And watching what I'm going to show you now, I guarantee you'll be circular breathing in 20 minutes, half an hour. So I'll show you what it's all about. But before I do that, I just want to talk a little bit about didgeridoos, because all didgeridoos are not made equal. Some are easy to play, even for an experienced player, and some just don't play at all and are really difficult. And to try and learn circular breathing on a didgeridoo that isn't up to the mark is going to be extremely difficult. So the sort of things you need to look at is, first of all, the didgeridoo itself, and probably the most important thing is actually the mouthpiece. As you can see, this is a plastic didge. Brilliant didgeridoos. They cost nothing. Well, they cost, in England, £10–15. They are a glorified drain pipe, moulded properly for the job, but they produce a fantastic tone. Deep, resonant, really lovely sound. These have got a preformed top, and the thing you should look for or aim to do with your didge, it's all going to be dependent on our own physical sort of makeup, of course, but essentially if you look at a 28 to 30mm diameter mouthpiece, which sits into form a perfect seal around your mouth, because you must have a perfect seal, as you probably know if you're already playing the didge, that makes it so much easier. The other thing that's really important when you want to start your circular breathing is that you actually have a clear head. If your nasal cavities aren't clear, you're not going to be able to draw breath in through your nose. So that's on both nostrils. So what you need to do is close one off and sniff, close the other one off and sniff, and you'll find that if you've got a cold, you're really going to struggle to circular breathe. But we'll get onto that in a minute. Again, talking about didgeridoos, it really doesn't matter what they're made of. I mean, I've got, if you can see in the background here, because I've been making them for quite a while, I've got really heavy timber didgeridoos that produce, real bass notes. I use plastic ones. This is a didgeridoo made out of poplar. It's I have to admit it's rubbish. It looks the part, it's got the right size diameter hole, but to play it is really difficult. So there are dozens and dozens of didgeridoos on the market, and before you start to try and teach yourself circular breathing, just make sure you've got one that you can actually play easily, because it's so much more easy to do that. So, circular breathing. As we all know, you can't breathe in and out at the same time. It's physically impossible. So how do we do it? You'll have probably looked already, if you're researching how to do circular breathing, on loads of things on the internet. And lots of people talk about blowing through straws into glasses of water to keep a continual stream of bubbles going, and that does demonstrate circular breathing or what happens in circular breathing, but it's absolutely nothing like doing it on a didgeridoo. The technique is simple, and I'm sure you probably already have looked this up, but you're just struggling to actually do it. But essentially, you blow air into your cheeks, and the idea is that you blow that out, and at the same time sniff in air to replace what you're taking out of your lungs. And that is so alien to how we normally breathe. It really is difficult, and in my opinion, you'll never do that. Well, you'll find it extremely difficult. I'm not saying you'll never learn, but extremely difficult to do that through blowing through straws, and because it's nothing like blowing down a didgeridoo, because the didge itself will actually help you circular breathe. You've probably heard of didgeridoos producing back pressure. When you blow into the didgeridoo, you're compressing the air in the didge, and when you stop blowing, it carries on half a second, just a very small amount of time as it clears that air. And that split second is where you swap over from air in your lungs to air in your cheeks, and it smooths the whole process out. But you don't need to know that. That just happens in the background, but it does make it easier. So what is circular breathing? What's the technique? The way I try to teach people, and it does work extremely well, and you have to pull lots of funny faces as well in the same time, and it's all very embarrassing as you blowing raspberries and things. But if you inflate your cheeks, blow a raspberry. We can all do that. It's dead easy. And all you do at the same time, as you're blowing out, is sniff in. That is circular breathing. There's no more to it than that. It looks daft to do it in front of a camera. It sounds daft, and when you try to do it, you'll make all sorts of spluttering, raspy noises and feel really embarrassed. But ignore all that. Find a quiet corner on your own, and you want to put half an hour away to do it. So to practice that, what I recommend is just blow your cheeks out, blow some raspberries, and just do that for a while till you're comfortable with doing that. And then what we're going to do then is start to blow and breathe at the same time. So it's and again, it seems quite difficult to do. We probably all know about diaphragm, and if we lower our chest a little bit as we blow out, and then on the inhale stand ourselves straight up, it'll cause the diaphragm to pull in and suck air into our lungs. It helps enormously. So the technique is, and then carry on blowing. So once you have done that for a while, and you shouldn't get lightheaded doing this. It's useful to have a glass of water just to keep your mouth moist as well, and not for blowing through straws. Do it with the didge in your hand instead this time. So it's terrible noise. Sounds nothing like a didge should sound, but it is actually starting to get you familiar with how it feels, because it is very unnatural. So I think it's in the profile, but lots of coughing, lots of spluttering. And once you get comfortable with that, blowing a raspberry and sniffing at the same time, and it does take time. You'll need to do this, 20, 30, 40 times before it feels comfortable. And you should bear in mind that even an accomplished didgeridoo player isn't going to just pick up the didge and start playing. I mean, they will do, they can do, but ideally you want 5 minutes to warm up. Just like as in any musician or performance player, footballer, you've got to warm up to things. It's going stone cold is extremely difficult. So once you start blowing out your raspberries and sniffing it at the same time, do it through the didgeridoo. So it's lots of spluttering. Doesn't sound anything like it should do. But eventually you'll slowly start to, if you keep that going continually, it will suddenly start to become a rhythm that you will feel in your mouth. People talk about closing your throat off. I mean, how on earth do you do that? It's just something that happens naturally. And it can be easier to do this at a count, so that you rather than if you do it to a beat, so that you know when you're going to be doing your breathing, because you don't run out of air. And most didgeridoo players are circular breathing, quite depending on what they're playing, but quite quickly. They never run out of air and then have to gasp it in. They've always got a continuous supply. So it might be. I mean, exaggerating that, but all I'm doing is that. Looks daft, doesn't it? But it's in a quiet corner on your own with nobody watching. You will master it, and you won't do it straight off. You might keep you going for 5 seconds, or just 2 or 3 repetitions, but it will build. I can keep a didge going for 45, 50 minutes. My wife plays as well. She's a much better player than I am. She'll keep it going for much longer than that. These plastic didgeridoos are all made exactly the same. So I don't know if you've tried playing a didge with somebody else, but if you get 2 didgeridoos, different keys, it sounds terrible. It really does sound terrible. You get 2 of these plastic ones which are perfectly matched. It sounds amazing, like stereo didges. And talking to which, I don't know if you've become aware that when you're playing the didgeridoo, what you can hear is actually very different to what the people around you are listening to. And a technique that I've picked up, I don't quite know how I got to do it or where it came from, but if you play the didgeridoo and close one ear off by putting your finger in your ear, or just closing which again sounds really daft and looks daft, but you can hear, you'll notice a huge difference in what you're listening to, and you'll hear what everybody else is hearing. So it's people thought you were daft playing the didgeridoo. Playing the didgeridoo with a finger in your ear is really going to be something else. So it's a very simple technique. It takes a bit of time. Nothing like blowing through straws and water. But by doing this simple technique, you will pick up circular breathing very, very quickly. So just to recap, the mouthpiece about 20 to 28, 30 mil is ideal. If you've got a beard, that can be quite difficult if you're a fella and you've got a beard. That if you haven't got a decent seal around your mouth, that can be awkward as well. Not suggesting you shave your beard off, but it's something to think about. My son has a moustache and a goatee beard, and he's a good didge player, but he struggles with getting a decent seal. Make sure the didgeridoo is playable. If it's rubbish, there are thousands about. Get yourself a better one. They're not expensive. Or even have a go at making one. I make split wood didgeridoos because here in, I'm not sure where you're watching this from, but here in England we haven't got any termites to eat out, eucalyptus sticks for us. So from fallen trees I gather lots of wood, and I've been making didgeridoos for quite a long time now, and say it myself, they're actually quite good. Bit of boasting, but I know some friends of mine who bought really expensive didgeridoos from Australia, and I've been to Kuranda in Australia where lots of didgers are for sale, and they are beautiful things and they sound brilliant. They're hundreds and hundreds of dollars, if not thousands, and the ones I've made myself, and you're quite capable if you've got any woodworking skills. There's lots of things on the internet showing you how to split a wood and carve it and glue it back together. You can make a really nice sounding didgeridoo very easily for nothing really. Yeah. So hopefully that's give you a bit more confidence in how to play the didgeridoo. Sorry, how to circular breathe with the didgeridoo. Perseverance, somewhere quiet on your own, and don't expect too much that you're going to suddenly do it, because it will just come, just like when you learn to play the didge, and you'll go, is that all it is? And everybody tells me it's so difficult. And I've taught dozens of people to play the didge and in particular circular breathing using this really simple method, just blowing a raspberry, sniffing in at the same time, and once you've got that feeling comfortable to do, you'll be circular breathing just like everybody else. And if you could build up to doing just 4 or 5 minutes, that's actually quite a long time when you're doing it. You know, your throat will get dry and you lots of spit down the didgeridoo. We've all done it. We know what it's about. But it will make your playing so much better. Particularly if you want to play with other people or a band. We do a lot of didgeridoo meditations, all sitting in a teepee with a fire going in the middle and dark, and we have 2, in fact we have 3 of these going at the same time. And then we'll perhaps do a didge bath, which we play the didgeridoo up and down, somebody either on the floor or standing up, and that's a really great experience as those vibrations sort of wash over people. People really enjoy that. So hopefully that's taught you very quickly the hidden secrets of didgeridoo, of circular breathing, and it really is a simple technique. So good luck with it, and hope you're playing soon. Cheers, thank you, bye bye.